LIV and PGA Tour together at last? I got you covered. We'll break it down, and we'll also talk about the RBC Canadian Open from a DraftKings and FanDuel perspective here on the DFS Army PGA pod. Let's go. What up, everybody? It's your boy DFSUpNorth, aka Josh Thomas, and we're here today to talk about. We're here to talk about the RBC Canadian Open, but the reality is that we're here to talk about the breaking news from this morning about the LIV and PGA Tour merger. All right. It was a shock to me this morning. I'm sure it was a shock to those of you who are watching this, but it was also a shock to the rest of the golf world. I'm told that not only did like Tiger and Rory and those guys not know, but even the CEO of LIV Golf, Greg Norman, did not know about this merger that was happening until a few minutes before it was announced this morning. So here's the thing. Players just got out of a players meeting. We heard some comments and things like that. We'll get to that in a minute. But the reality is that we need to go back a little bit and talk about what this merger actually is, because I think people are a little bit confused. All right. And they should be, because we don't have a lot of details. All right. But this is how I understand it and what my expectation is what's going to happen going forward. All right. So my expectation is that LIV Golf, as we know it, 54 events, the teams, things like that, is essentially on, for lack of a better term, hospice care, right? They are, I would imagine that this is the final season of LIV Golf. And the reason being is that, well, obviously with Greg Norman not knowing until today that something like this was happening. But essentially what I'm guessing has happened is that the PIF, the Saudi investment fund that has now purchased essentially a stake in the PGA Tour. They don't need LIV anymore. All right. So it is... They've realized that they're not able to get sponsorships, just like the PGA Tour. PGA Tour can't get sponsorships for their like headline events, right? Sponsors are pulling out. They are pressuring the PGA Tour that they have to do something. So this idea that the four aces or Smash GC is worth $2 billion, like we've seen kind of floating around the internet, is absolute freaking insanity. So my guess is, right, that we will see LIV play out. Like, LIV is a part of this merger, but my guess is that this will be the last year of LIV. The players that are on the LIV Tour will be afforded an opportunity to come back to the PGA Tour. That opportunity is not going to just be, what's up, you're back. I imagine there's going to be some sort of financial penalties, things like that they will go through. But like, PIF doesn't care, right? The Saudis don't care, because their idea was that they wanted to get involved in professional golf. And now they have, right? And now, they are involved in the PGA Tour, which is the top product in the world. So like I said, my guess is that we will not see Greg Norman involved in any aspect. I think we will see team stuff happen at some point. All right. What that looks like, I think, will be very different than what we are seeing on LIV right now. Right. I'm sorry, Taylor Gooch. I think the range goats are dead in the water. I don't think that these like teams that were created are going to continue. All right. That's just my personal opinion, just reading between the lines, that, hey, if the Saudis thought that LIV was a sustainable thing, they would have just continued to work it. But they at some point have realized that, hey, we need to get in bed with each other. Part of that, I think, is yes, because it's not what we've been saying all along, is that this is not a successful business model. And to be honest, the PGA Tour is not a successful business model either. But going through the core process now, the Tour doesn't want to go into Discovery, and the Saudis really don't want to go into Discovery, right? The Tour doesn't want to go into Discovery because they don't want to potentially lose their nonprofit status, and the Saudis don't want to go into Discovery because, well, I mean, they kill people and things like that. They don't want that out there. So essentially what's going to happen is that the PGA Tour, LIV Tour, DP World Tour are all going to now still continue to coexist, but they are going to be under the umbrella of whatever they're going to name this new, it's not a tour, it's a golf association, right? it's going to be a World Golf WGA or something like that, World Golf Association, because it's not like, that's maybe the confusing part for some people, is that they see that this is like, oh my gosh, are we going to get like this super tour? And I don't think that's what it's going to look like. I could be wrong, right? But I don't think we're going to see like this super tour. I think that my opinion is that at the end of this year that LIV will be no more, and that we will continue to see the DP World Tour and the KFT and all of our whatever our lower tours, but the PGA Tour will continue to be the major leader here. And again, we talked about discovery, but another part of this that people ask, okay, Monahan's a hypocrite, right? And he is, and it sounds like he accepted that. Yes, like essentially, right? He is a useful idiot for the Saudis. He essentially got them to this point, and now they're gonna say, sorry, Greg. Thank you for your help. Very much Succession-like, but very much Succession-like, very much Michael Scott Paper Company for those of you who are Office fans. But so where was I going here? Oh, why is Jay now kind of getting, Jay Monahan being the commissioner of the PGA Tour? Why is he giving into this? And I think that, again, he has to look out for what is best for the tour. You are never going to be able to compete with the Saudi money, right? And we have sponsors now saying, hey, like, we can't continue to do this on the PGA Tour. There needs to be this influx of money. And it's now going, the tour essentially has said, yeah, we're going to get into bed with the Saudis. I think that actually may likely end up that Jay Monahan loses his position as CEO of this new company. But I also think that long term here, we are going to see massive prize pools and massive amounts of money that is going to go towards the players. So the players are in their meeting, they're pissed off, and rightfully so. They felt like they gave up this, opportunity. Decky, 300 million, Tiger, billions of dollars, right, to join the LIV Tour. And it's, they should be mad. But the reality is, I think long term, we are going to see prize pools be like, we're massive influx of money into the PGA Tour, right? The Saudis have 20 bill into a golf league that nobody cares about, right? They don't care. So they are going to, now we have a tour that somebody actually cares about. I think hundreds of billions of dollars are going to go into the tour. And as fans, my hope is that we see, the best of the best compete against each other on a weekly basis. I do think that we see the team aspect in some format. But I think that the 2024 schedule is going to look very different than what we had originally thought it was. There will be some sort of elevated events. I think that the pushback on the cut events has been pretty good from the players, John Rahm in particular. I think that we will see there will still be a cut. I think that we could see, some sort of, like I said, team aspect. Maybe the top, 10 guys in the FedEx Cup standings at the end of the year are captains. We do a draft. There's 5 or 6 team events throughout the year, ends with some sort of match play. Like, I think that we could see something like that, and you are able to play, similar to like the NBA or MLB and things like that, where we're gonna play this team event. Hey, we've secured a spot in the playoffs. We're gonna rest guys and we're gonna play our bottom end guys, or you have like that sort of roster flexibility. I think that something like that would be very cool. Again, we don't know. That's just me off the top of my head at this point, but I think long term, now beyond, like, I don't agree with getting in bed with the Saudis. Like, morally, I think that is disgusting what we are doing, but long term, this is likely going to be good for golf. Right now, how this all transpired, right, it's tricky because I've been very much anti-LIV golf, and I've used that morality standpoint part of it, right? Like, I'm free to admit that, and I still don't think that it's a great deal, but I also think that LIV was just an unsustainable product. Now, if the PGA Tour comes out and says, we're going to keep this product, we are going to push into the team aspect like LIV is, we'll see. I am not convinced that that is the right idea. I think that the model has been proven to not work. But it's interesting, right? So again, do I agree with how this occurred? Absolutely not. I think it's a disappointing day for the PGA Tour. But I also think that it's essentially an inevitable day, right? That this was going to happen at some point, right? That you can't compete with that sort of money for a very long time, right? And once you get into the legal aspect side of it, where I just saw something that this thing was going to get tied up in court for like 6 years. So Monahan, I mean, credit to him, recognizing that being in that sort of gray area for 6 years is potentially a death knell for the PGA Tour. Look, we don't know everything. We don't even know an 1/64th of what happened, right? We're starting to see players now. Like if we click over here, what do we got going on Twitter today? Oh, there's our research station. We'll talk about it. But my timeline has been just wild all day here. Let's see if there's anything new in the timeline. Did I tweet this already? 12 will be the penalty when his future PGA Tour players forgets first served. The chairman of the board is His Excellency. Yeah, it is. It's been blowing up all day on the Twitter. I just listened to Feinberg's live from the front door of the clubhouse. But yeah, I don't know how Jay Monahan continues to have his job other than, potentially the fact that, I was scrolling Twitter and you guys couldn't see it. Because I did. Let me stop sharing that. Clicked on a tab and not the full sheet. But yeah, I really don't. I don't know how he keeps his job other than if you're in bed with the Saudis and now technically you're not. They're running a for-profit organization, so they're really the only person that could potentially get rid of him is the leader of the PIF, right? So I'm not really sure how that's all gonna go about. There we go. Now we can see the our golf timeline. Let's see if anybody's updated anything. Yeah, it's I've recognized everything in my past. I've said in my past positions. I recognize people are going to call me a hypocrite. Anytime I said anything, I said it with the information I had in the moment. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how Jay Monahan survives this. But it's interesting. What if people? Mackenzie Hughes asking? Just doesn't feel right about it. And here's the thing. Credit to the tour players for being like fairly candid today. Yeah, that's the translation. Monahan on those angry players who turned down LIV money and stayed with PGA Tour. These players who've been loyal to PGA Tour and confident they made the right decision. Translation: the players that turned down the money will be very well compensated with Saudi money. Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, that's the reality of it. There's going to be a massive influx of stuff or of money going into the PGA Tour. So it's tricky. I don't claim to know all the answers. This is what I see is going to happen, right? I don't think that we are going to, like, the LIV Tour as we know it is going to cease to exist. Apparently, they have not even heard anything. Like, Greg was called, but there's been no conversations about what this looks like going forward. Like, the Saudis could essentially just cut off the money and say, we're done with this, right? And that's maybe, like, the scary part of all of this is that now you are beholden to a certain company. Yes, in the past the tour has been beholden to sponsors, but it's no longer a player run organization, especially with how this happened. Like, that guys in a room did this and it was not with the players' involvement. So it's, I don't know, but it seems like Phil's known for months that this was happening. So more is going to find out. I'm very much looking forward to the 30 for 30 that's going to come out in like 5 years for this, or the books that are going to be written about this. I saw Shipnook just finished his book the other day, and now is going to have to go back and potentially either rewrite or get rid of it, like, because this changes everything now. So again, I tweeted about this morning. Like, I can't focus. Like, I was trying to write notes this morning and figure out what's going on in this tournament, and I spent the afternoon dialing in where I'm at on the tournament. And now we're going to get into it. But at 4:00, when I was, this meeting was happening, I dove back in and got a little frazzled here, but I am back in on the tournament now. And let's talk about it, right? So we've got the RBC Canadian Open. It is at a brand new track this year. Where are we at? We're at Oakdale. Is that what it is? Let me bring up our DFSUpNorth.com. Let's bring up my course preview that I feel like I wrote. Now with all this stuff going on, isn't it funny? I feel like I wrote it maybe a month ago, but it was really only Sunday night and Monday. Yeah, Oakdale Golf and Country Club, just outside of Toronto, Ontario. This is an interesting track, right? So it is essentially an 18 with an extra 9, and they are using each 9 has a different name. They're using holes from all of the 9s, right? So it's not like a traditional. You're not going to be able to go to Oakdale later and play the setup, because they had to change it to make it, longer for the tour pros. It is kind of a, I don't know. It sounds like it's going to play tougher than people perceive, which I think is a good thing. I think you need to hit fairways here. I think that you can get aggressive off the tee a little bit, but the greens are well bunkered. They're very undulating. Bent grass with POA overseed. We don't get a ton of info this week. What I'm going to really focus on is again, just your standards, right? When we don't know what a course is going to do, we focus on, we go back to basics. So strokes gained approach, par 5 scoring, strokes gained tee to green, right? I am going to I hate looking at putting, but I do think that it's something that we can actually look at this week. Oh yeah, if you're not a VIP, what are you doing? You're wasting time. You can use that code UpNorth for 10% off, or you can use code SUMMER50. That gets you 50% off your first month, which is crazy. So golfers coming in hot. And again, this is all on DFSArmy.com. You can use it for free, and check it out. Our research station is available for everybody to use. You look at this course history, and we've got nothing there because this is the first time this event is being held at this course, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? So it's a brand new track. Not a brand new track. It's a very old course, but it's brand new for everybody else. So if we were going to say, let's say, okay, yeah, right. I want to look at who is really striking the ball well. We're going to get back to basics here and look at, okay, over the last 25 rounds, who has been the best strokes gained approach? Well, we got to make a copy of this. Did I make a copy yet? No. Okay. So one of the nice things about our research station is that you can sort all these tables, right? And we can sort by who is crushing it with their irons over the last 25. Again, if you just ran who is going to be off the, approach numbers every single week, I think and that was the only stat that you'd looked at. I'd love to do a research on that. But if that's the only stat you looked at, I think you'd be successful more often than not. You're going to have weeks where guys are going to spike with their putters, and get it done where their approach numbers aren't very good. But long-term, guys who crush an approach are going to be your best bet. So we look at Drew Nesbitt, obviously, as we've got 2 events of Shot League ages ago, and we're not looking at that. But, Justin Rose right at the top here. Hubbard, Lowry, Connors, Dylan Wu, who's a core play for me this week, Fleetwood, even Alex Smalley, who's interesting, Aaron Rye, who's been playing really well. So over the last 25 rounds, that's a pretty good six event sample. If we look over the last 10, just recently, who's been good, right? Guys like Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, who's really come around. Doc Redman is sneaky. Hodges, I really like this week. Vincent Norman, I really like this week. So again, it's something that we can look at. If we look at who is the best bent grass putter, we're talking guys that does it really matter though, right? Like Harry Hall, stealing week with his putter the other week on bent grass, great around the greens, but he can't get it close enough. So you see him fall off at the end of the week. If we think this is going to be a birdie or better course, which I do, I still think, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of birdies out there, especially on par 5s. Well, who scores well? Well, Ben Martin, Tyrrell Hatton, CT Pan, Sahith Theegala, Brant Snedeker just recently come back from injury. Justin Rose, that name pops up again. So that's where, you want to be this week, right? And again, you can sort by, you think, okay, like I said, I think the rough's going to be a little bit long. Well, who's able to find fairways? Okay. And obviously our shorter guys are going to be able to do that a little bit better, but there's some guys in there who I think are sneaky. A guy like James Hahn. We haven't even talked about the motivation factor, right? So as a guy like James Hahn, who now has to feel pretty vindicated saying that the PGA Tour is lying and not doing the right things, do we like James Hahn this week to come back and maybe have a better a result, right? 6,800. There's some guys in there that I like a little bit better than him, but I think that narrative could be good. Could Rory come out and just be mad that Monahan let him trotted him out there to talk smack all week and or for months and months and months, and now feels like he's betrayed and comes out and smashes? I think that's interesting. We also have this week 3 amateurs. 2 are making their professional debut this week, and that is Ludwig Aberg. So Aberg won his regional. He won the NCAA championship, and now he is making his professional debut. We've seen him before. Really, really good golfer. I'm very, very high on Ludwig Aberg this week, but the price is a little bit up there. At 7,800, I'm more intrigued. And then you come down and you got a guy like who is priced fairly appropriately in Michael Thorbjornsen. We've seen him contend at events before. It's crazy to me that he's 2 times the odds of Aberg, because I think he is as good, if not better, in some aspects. We've seen him contend in U.S. Open a couple of years ago, now turning pro as well. And then our guy, Sam Bennett, right, who crushed at the Masters, now came back last week, made the cut, didn't play very well on the weekend, but another guy that has a ton of upside. So like some guys like that. All right. But here's the thing. Okay, we're going to go over to DraftKings and we're going to just draft a quick PGA lineup, okay? Because I wanted to talk about, let's enter this, creating lineup. Okay, because I really think that the difference, the big thing for me this week is that you need to, I'm going to hammer probably 2 guys from this range and up. So from Lowry to Rory. Okay. For me, it starts with Hatton. All right. I really like him this week. And then, let's just look at what we can do with like a Justin Rose. Okay. That leaves us with 75-25. Understandable that like a Stars and Scrub isn't good, especially because as you get below 7K, it's really ugly. Like I am going to take some chances on guys like Ben Silverman, Canadian, who just won on the Latin American tour. I'm going to take some chances on, there's some guys down here you could play. You could play Hank Lebiota. You could play Austin Cook. They're not great plays. I do like Trevor Werbylow at 6,300. And then there's one more guy that I'm really high on down here. Where is he? It's not Nesbitt. It's not McGreevy. It's not Vajagas. Papineau? Willie McGirt. No. Where are we? Creighton? Is that who I like down here? Gotta go back to my cheat sheet. Might be Creighton. Let's see. Yeah, he just won somewhere else. Or no, Silverman's been great on the KFT. Creighton just won on the Latin American tour. So and all Canadian guys in their home open. Speaking of Canadian guys, I'm going to play Aaron Cockrell this week a ton. He's a core play for me. Guy has been just absolutely smashing on the European tour. Another guy that I'm high on here is Dylan Wu. You could go Carson Young. You can go down to Sam Bennett, right? I don't want to play a ton of kind of amateurs. I don't mind going to Aberg, but like, look at how good your lineup looks here. Like Lee Hodges has been great. I love Vincent Norman. He's been playing so well. And then you can go like a guy like Eric Cole or Michael Kim here. Like I love this sort of build, right? 2 studs. Okay, and a bunch of cheapies. You could try to go 3 studs. Let's see. If I wanted to get like, even like an Adrian Moronk isn't that bad, right? So Adrian Moronk, now I could play Dylan Wu, right? Elite lineup, right? Adrian Moronk's been crushing over in Europe. He doesn't have the added pressure of the LIV stuff this week. I don't mind that. I don't know that you can get, like, can you get a Shane Lowry in there? Now you're at 68, so you got to play a punt down here. Who'd I say? Silverman's too expensive, probably. Ryan Gerard, maybe you could play. Man, you're going to like, you got to really go for it. Trevor Weirbelow, like if you look at his recent stats, it's pretty insane. You look at his game log, missed the cut here at the Byron Nelson, but then he didn't miss a cut all the way back to freaking January. The guy just cashed paychecks. So if you played Weirbelow, you got 7,400. That gets you to like a Lipsky, can't quite get to Norman. You could play like a Ben Martin, Shuan Kim. Mark Hubbard, right, who's been playing some really good golf. We saw him pop there. So I don't mind any of those lineups. I'm just going to enter this real quick to get it in there because I will have big time FOMO if we do not get that lineup in. So again, that's kind of the state of the state here. If you're not a DFS Army VIP, you can use that code UpNorth. You can use Summer50, get you 50% off. But that's where my head is at today. I hope this maybe helped you guys sort out some thoughts. And you know, TLDR is, I think LIV is on hospice care, and the PGA Tour is going to get a bunch of money. These guys are going to make a ton of money. Would be interesting to see. There will be some sort of team aspect. I don't know what it's going to look like, but my guess is that it looks nothing like what LIV has done over the past essentially 2 years. So have a great week, everybody. I'll showdown tiers up tomorrow for all of our DFS Army VIPs. Peace. See you guys.